Hello everyone, and welcome back to It's Funny to Tears. Today, we're diving into the wonderful, chaotic world of misread emails. We've all been there, right? You scan an email, your brain fills in the gaps, and suddenly you're living in a completely different reality from the sender. Well, I've got a story for you that takes this to a whole new level. It all started on a Monday morning. I was working at a small marketing company, and our boss, let's call him Dave, was a pretty eccentric guy. Dave loved to use big words and overly complicated sentences to sound important. Most of the time, we just nodded along, trying to decipher what he actually wanted. So on this particular Monday, an email from Dave lands in everyone's inbox. The subject line was, "Urgent, mandatory office gathering this Friday." Instantly, the office group chat started buzzing. A mandatory gathering on a Friday. This was unusual. Dave was all about productivity and usually discouraged anything that might distract us, especially at the end of the week. I opened the email and my eyes quickly scanned the first few lines. It was a dense paragraph, full of Dave's usual corporate jargon. But a few words jumped out at me. Celebrate our recent successes, team building, special theme, and the one that really caught my eye, formal attire required. Okay, so it's a formal party. A bit weird for our casual office, but maybe he landed a huge new client and wanted to celebrate in style. I kept scanning and saw something about bringing a partner. My mind immediately went to a fancy evening gala. I imagined a ballroom, maybe some classical music, definitely a catered dinner. The team was getting excited. People started talking about renting tuxedos and buying new dresses. One of my colleagues, Sarah, even started looking up professional hair and makeup artists. The whole week, the office was electric with anticipation. We spent our lunch breaks discussing what this formal gathering could possibly be. Someone suggested a charity ball. Another thought maybe Dave was announcing a merger with a big, fancy corporation. The speculation was wild. I remember telling my girlfriend about it, and she was thrilled. She went out and bought a beautiful evening gown. The pressure was on. I had to find a suit that could match that. The whole thing was escalating, and all because of this one email. Friday finally arrived. The workday was a blur. No one could focus. We were all just counting down the hours until the gala. At 4:30 p.m., Dave sent a follow-up email. Reminder, the gathering is at 5 p.m. sharp. Please proceed to the location as discussed. As discussed? Nobody had discussed a location. Panic started to set in. We all checked the original email again. Buried deep in the middle of a massive block of text, after a long-winded tangent about synergy and leveraging assets, was a single line. The event will take place in the main conference room. The conference room? That dingy windowless room with the squeaky chairs and the projector that never worked? We were all confused. Maybe it was just a pre-party meeting point? That had to be it. So at 5 p.m. the entire team, dressed to the nines in ball gowns and tuxedos, sheepishly filed into the conference room. My girlfriend and I felt like we were going to the Oscars. Sarah's hair was a work of art. My buddy Tom looked like James Bond. And there in the middle of the room was Dave. He was wearing his usual stained coffee polo shirt and cargo shorts. On the conference table was not a catered feast, but a single, sad-looking vegetable platter and a stack of paper plates. The special theme wasn't a gala, it was a formal discussion about our quarterly goals. Dave looked at us, his eyes wide with confusion. "Wow," he said. "You guys really went all out. I guess when I wrote formal attire, I meant, business casual, like maybe not your sweatpants." The silence was deafening. Then Sarah started to laugh. A small giggle at first, then a full-on, uncontrollable howl. Then Tom started laughing. Soon, the entire room erupted. We were all laughing so hard we were crying. Even Dave, once he understood what had happened, was bent over, holding his sides. It turns out, the original email, when read carefully, was just a very, very poorly worded invitation to a boring quarterly meeting. The phrase, "bring a partner," was actually "bring a partner for the brainstorming session," meaning pair up with a coworker. The formal attire was a clumsy attempt to get us to stop wearing hoodies to the office. Every single one of us had selectively read the email and built a fantasy event in our heads. We all looked ridiculous, standing there in our fancy clothes around a plate of limp carrots. But honestly, it was the best team-building event we ever had. We spent the next hour taking the most glamorous, ridiculous photos in that drab conference room, posing with celery sticks and paper cups. It became a legendary office story, the gala that wasn't. The lesson here: maybe read your emails a little more closely. Or better yet, just have a boss who writes in plain English. It was a moment of collective failure, but it brought us all closer together and gave us a story we'll be telling for years. I don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. So what's the craziest thing you've ever misread in an email or text? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your stories. This experience taught me that sometimes the biggest misunderstandings lead to the best memories. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the story and subscribe to It's Funny to Tears for more hilarious tales from everyday life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.